It's 2:47 a.m., and you wake up for no reason. The room is black. Not dim, not shadowy, black. You can't see the door. You can't see your own hand if you lift it in front of your face. And even though you know exactly where you are, even though this is your bedroom, your bed, your house with the doors locked and the alarm set, something in your chest tightens. You lie completely still. You listen. Your ears strain for anything. A floorboard, a breath that isn't yours, the smallest sound out of place. Your heart is beating faster than it was a minute ago, and no part of you decided that on purpose. It just happened, the way it always happens, the instant the lights went out. And for a few seconds, before your rational brain catches up and reminds you that you are a functioning adult in a locked house in one of the safest centuries humans have ever lived in, you are genuinely, physically afraid of nothing. Here's the strange part. You know monsters aren't real. You know there's nothing under the bed. You've known that since you were maybe 7 years old. And yet almost every human being on Earth at some point in their life has felt this exact thing. A fear that makes no logical sense in a world of locked doors, streetlights, security cameras, and a phone with a flashlight sitting 3 feet from your hand. So where does this come from? Why does a species that hasn't had to seriously worry about nighttime predators in thousands of years still panic every single time the moment the lights go out? To answer that, we have to go back to what darkness actually meant for most of human history. And the first piece of this puzzle isn't psychological at all. It's biological. Human eyes are bad at night. Not slightly bad, dramatically, embarrassingly bad. Our eyes are built around cone cells, the receptors responsible for color and fine detail in bright light. We have comparatively few rod cells, the receptors that do the heavy lifting in low light, especially compared to animals actually built for nighttime hunting. A cat's eyes contain a reflective layer behind the retina called the tapetum lucidum, which bounces light back through the eye a second time, roughly doubling how much it can use. Humans don't have that layer at all. In near total darkness, human vision essentially shuts off. You are, for all practical purposes, blind. And you've been blind in the dark for the entire time our species has existed. Now put that fact next to what was actually waiting out there in the dark. For most of the last few million years, our ancestors shared the landscape with animals built specifically to exploit exactly this weakness. Big cats are ambush predators, and ambush predators overwhelmingly prefer low light, because low light is where their advantage over prey is greatest. A predator that hunts by sight and smell in the dark against prey that can barely see its own feet isn't taking a risk. It's playing a game it has already won before the chase even starts. Leopards, in particular, are well-documented hunting primates at night and dragging them up into trees to feed, often far from where the kill actually happened, which is part of why so much of this history is difficult to reconstruct from bones alone. In South Africa, researchers examining a roughly 2.8 million-year-old skull belonging to a young hominin child found puncture marks in the eye sockets that match the spacing of leopard canine teeth almost exactly. That child wasn't the victim of some freak accident. That child was hunted in a pattern that matches a nighttime ambush kill down to the geometry of the bite. This wasn't a rare one-off event lost in the fossil record. It was routine. For a hairless, slow, weak-clawed primate with almost no night vision, darkness wasn't uncomfortable. It was, by a wide margin, the single most dangerous part of every single day our ancestors lived through. Daylight had risk, but daylight also had visibility, warning, and the chance to run or fight back. Darkness took all three of those away at once. And that's the second layer of this story. It's not only that we couldn't see well in the dark, it's that the things hunting us could see us perfectly, could smell us from further away than we could smell them, and it spent millions of years being refined by evolution specifically for this exact scenario, while we had spent that same time being refined for almost anything else. So what happens, generation after generation, when the exact same threat shows up every single night for hundreds of thousands of years in a row? Evolution does what it always does with a consistent, survivable threat. It builds an alarm system. And that brings us to the third layer. What's actually happening inside your brain right now at 2:47 a.m., staring into the black? Deep in your brain sits a small, almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. Its job is threat detection, and it works fast, faster than conscious, deliberate thought. In low light, your visual system is starved of clear information, so your brain does what it always does when information is incomplete. It fills in the gaps, and it fills them in on the side of caution rather than calm. A coat draped over a chair becomes a crouching shape. A creak in the floorboards becomes a footstep moving toward you. This isn't a flaw in how you think. It's a feature built by a very simple cost-benefit calculation. A brain that occasionally mistakes a coat for a threat costs you nothing more than a startled heartbeat and a moment of embarrassment. A brain that mistakes a real threat for a harmless coat costs you your life and takes your genes out of the pool along with you. Over evolutionary time, the first mistake is cheap and the second one is fatal. So natural selection built us to make the cheap mistake constantly, over and over, without exception. Every jump you've ever felt at a shadow on the wall is that ancient trade-off, firing exactly the way it was designed to. And this alarm system doesn't need to be taught, which brings us to the fourth layer, and maybe the most convincing evidence of all. Fear of the dark, and specifically, fear of the vague, undefined shapes that live inside it, shows up in early childhood across wildly different cultures, climates, and parenting styles. Well before most kids have ever been exposed to a horror movie, a scary story, or even the word monster. Developmental psychologists have long observed that this fear, sometimes called nyctophobia, tends to emerge in a similar early age window in children almost everywhere, typically peaking during the toddler and preschool years. That's not a coincidence of timing. It's exactly the age window where a child's imagination is developing faster than their ability to reason clearly about what is and isn't actually dangerous. You don't have to teach a 3-year-old to be afraid of the dark. If anything, you spend years teaching them not to be. That pattern, appearing early, appearing everywhere, appearing before instruction, is usually a strong sign you're looking at something wired into the hardware, not something copied from culture. There's a fifth layer worth adding here, because it shows this isn't just an ancient artifact frozen in the past. It's a system still actively running in the present. Sleep researchers have long noted that anxiety and hypervigilance spike specifically during the transition into darkness and in the earliest, lightest stages of sleep, the exact window where a sleeping human would have been most physically vulnerable to a real ambush thousands of generations ago. Your body doesn't fully power down at night. Part of it stays on watch. That's why total silence in a dark room can feel louder than actual noise. Your threat detection system doesn't get to log off just because you decided it was bedtime. This is also why sound matters more than sight once the lights go out. When your eyes stop giving you reliable information, your brain leans harder on your ears to fill the gap, and it treats every unexplained sound as a data point that needs an explanation right now, not later. A house settling, a pipe ticking as it cools, the wind moving a branch against a window. None of it is dangerous, but none of it gets waved off either, because for most of human history, an unexplained sound at night genuinely could have been the difference between waking up and not waking up. There's one more thing worth mentioning before we put this all together, because it explains why the fear doesn't just live in your head, it shows up in your body. The moment your environment goes dark and uncertain, your nervous system doesn't wait for you to consciously decide anything. Stress hormones rise. Your pupils dilate as far as they can go, trying to pull in whatever light exists. Your muscles get slightly more tense, ready to move fast if they need to. None of this is something you're choosing. It's the same physical response your ancestors needed the instant a shape moved wrong at the edge of a fire's light, and your body still runs the exact same program today, even when the only thing that moved was a curtain in the air conditioning. Put those 6 layers together and the picture is complete. Bad night vision, real nocturnal predators built to exploit exactly that weakness, a brain engineered to over-detect threats whenever information runs low, a fear that appears in children before anyone ever explains it to them, a nervous system that stays partially alert through the most vulnerable hours of sleep, generation after generation, and a body that reacts to darkness physically, automatically, before your conscious mind even has a chance to weigh in. None of this is irrational. It's the opposite. It's one of the most rational systems your body has, built and stress-tested across a timeline so long it's difficult to even picture. Hundreds of thousands of generations where the humans who felt nothing in the dark simply didn't survive long enough to pass that trait forward. The calm ones got eaten quietly, in the dark, without a trace. The anxious ones lived to have children. You are descended, without a single exception in your entire family tree, from the ones who flinched first and asked questions later. And here's the irony that makes this whole thing worth sitting with. You have eliminated almost every reason this system was ever built. There are no leopards waiting outside your bedroom window tonight. There is no ambush predator crouched in the hallway, calculating the exact moment your guard drops low enough to strike. You are, statistically, safer at 2:47 a.m. in your own home than almost any human being has ever been at any point in the last few 100,000 years. And your alarm system does not care about that statistic at all. You have locks, walls, streetlights, motion sensors, and that entire species that spent the last 10,000 years engineering the ancient threat of darkness almost completely out of daily existence. And still, at 2:47 a.m., in a locked room, in a locked house, in one of the safest physical environments a human being has ever lived in, your amygdala doesn't know any of that. It has no idea what a deadbolt is. It only knows one thing, the same thing it's known for hundreds of thousands of years. It's dark, the information is incomplete, and the ancient rule still applies. Assume danger first, sort out the details later. So the next time you feel that small flicker of unease walking down a dark hallway, or lying completely still, listening for a sound that almost certainly wasn't anything, you're not being childish, and you're not malfunctioning. You're running software that's a few 100,000 years old, built and refined by ancestors who never once got the luxury of a locked door. That software kept enough of them alive, night after night, for long enough to eventually become you. And whether you need it tonight or not, it's still doing exactly the job it was built for.